Are the mums happy as well there? Because that's the key question.
Well, our best person to ask would be Emma, who's a parent that joins me now. Emma, you've got a 1- and 5-year-old.
Yes.
What is your reaction to what the government might be announcing this lunchtime?
I think it'd be absolutely incredible to be able to have that sort of help with childcare and prices and the childcare cost of living kind of crisis that we're going through at the moment will really help and encourage parents to go back to work after parental leave, and especially mothers going back to work, to enable them to be able to afford to put their children with people that they trust when they don't have family around. Because at the moment, the cost of childcare, for example, we're paying about £1,200 a month, which is more than our mortgage, to be able to have my 1-year-old in a really incredible childminder that we love. And that's kind of, a base level cost. That's an average cost. That's not too high or too low. And it was a massive factor around how and when we had our second child, because our first is in full-time education now. He's 5 and he's in school. But we would not have been able to afford for 2 of them to go through nursery or a childminder at £1,200 each. So it just means that women are going to be able to hopefully gain financial independence, maintain in their career, develop their career further, and go back into work if they choose to do so.
There are some concerns that maybe, how difficult is it at the moment to get a place for childcare? There's some concerns that if there's more demand now, then it might be a struggle to find those places for those extra children.
Yeah, I have heard quite a lot, especially in this area. There are waiting lists. Many of my friends were pregnant and they had their children on the nursery waiting list in order for them to know that they had a secure place before they went back to work. Which is crazy. So I don't really know if we're opening up more opportunity for children to be in childcare positions where the caregivers will come from necessarily. So there's a good question there in terms of wondering how actually they'll facilitate the extra spaces without putting the children at risk and increasing the ratios of care workers to babies or children.
So how desperately needed is this extra help with childcare?
Incredibly. Currently, you can access funds at 2 years old, 15 hours, if you qualify, which is really good. But really, until your child reaches the age of 3, and in which case many people go back to work after the statutory maternity pay, which is 9 months. If you're lucky, you can go back to work after a year and have that really meaningful time with your children. But really, it's a desperate need for families to be able to maintain a family life, especially in the cost of living crisis. It's quite unattainable to be able to afford a mortgage or rent on one salary these days. It used to be the case, but more often than not, both parents need to be working. And if you have to work and bring a salary in, you need your children in a setting that you trust.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time today, Emma. Thank you. Parents who are also on universal credit are expected to also get some help with their childcare costs being given up front rather than having to claim it back.
Yeah, and you touched on a very interesting point there, Lisa, in your discussion, and that is, of course, some of these places have got waiting lists, so therefore, with this new provision, are there enough places, are there enough nurseries and centres to actually cope with all the kids that will be needing them?
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's some charities that have been campaigning for better childcare help, and that is one of the concerns that they've raised, that will there be actually enough money that's put aside by the government to go into all of this? And yeah, you're right, there's already waiting lists in places like nurseries, etc. With all those extra children then needing a place, where is that going to come from? Are they going to build extra nurseries really quickly? So it's all a little bit, the details are a bit sketchy at the moment.
Indeed, as they always are with the budget, of course, and it's day 2 afterwards that we get the sort of gaps filled in. But Lisa, from what I ought to call it now, the very happy toadstool toddler class, thanks very much indeed for updating us there in Hertfordshire. Back to you.